Men today snap like it's second nature. One word they don't like, one situation that doesn't go their way, one hint of unfairness, and boom, they explode. But here's the harsh reality. No one is making you angry. You're the one giving yourself permission to react like that. And then you blame others for your own weakness. You think anger is strength? No. It's proof you've never had control over yourself. In this video, I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to challenge you. I'm going to lay out ruthless, stoic strategies that work, so you never lose your temper like a fool again. If you're tired of your own bullshit, if you truly want change, keep watching. What's coming isn't gentle, but it's real. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and like if you're new here. It helps me keep bringing you more valuable content. You're not angry because of other people. You're angry because you're weak. Hard to hear? Too bad. It's the truth you need to swallow if you ever want to live like a real man. You think being insulted makes you furious? Wrong. It's your lack of inner control that leaves you as vulnerable as a toddler. Someone says a few careless words, gives you a look, does something thoughtless, and you lose your mind, can't sleep, act like the world owes you kindness. Wake up. The world isn't here to keep you comfortable. It runs on its own terms, unfair, chaotic, brutal, and none of that matters. What matters is how you respond. Most men today don't respond, they erupt. Because no one ever taught them how to watch their own emotions. They mistake outbursts for honesty. They think yelling makes them strong. But the truth is, they're being led around by emotions they don't even understand. They destroy relationships, careers, trust, because they couldn't pause for 5 seconds to think. Sure, you have the right to get angry. What you don't have is the right to dodge the consequences. Weak men treat their emotions like sacred orders. Strong men treat them like signals, not commands. They hear them, but they don't obey. They stay in control. Here's the truth again. No one's making you angry. You're just choosing to lose control. And if you can't master what's inside, you won't master anything outside. So stop asking why you get angry. Start asking if you've ever trained your mind to stay calm. Men today lose their minds over the smallest things. One offhand comment on social media, and they stew over it all day. One disapproving glance at work, and they're clenching their fists in their pockets. They live drowning in emotion, dragged around by things completely outside their control. But what's worse, they think they're in control. The truth is the opposite. Most of what happens in life is beyond your grasp. The weather, someone else's behavior, your partner's reaction, your boss's decisions, traffic, or someone suddenly turning their back on you. You don't own any of that. You don't get to demand the world play by your rules. But this confusion, believing you control what you can't, is the root of your anger, frustration, and disappointment. Maybe you're thinking, but I can't stand the way they treat me. Sound familiar? That's weakness talking. That sentence says one thing: I let other people's actions dictate how I feel. A man who lives like that is living under someone else's power. You willingly become a slave to someone's attitude, to random circumstances, and you call that life. Stoicism doesn't tell you to suffer. It tells you to be clear. What's yours to control and what's not. If it's not in your hands, let it go. Not because you're weak, but because you're smart. Not because you're running, but because you don't waste energy on things that won't change. You can't force someone to love you. You can't stop people from misunderstanding you. You can't control what's in someone's heart, but you can control how you respond to all of it. There's one core principle of Stoic philosophy that, if you truly get it, will free you from anger forever. You can only control your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. Everything else is external, and external things are unpredictable, unstable, chaotic. That's just the way it is. You can't change the rules of the game, but you can learn how to play. You're angry because someone disrespected you? Fine. But know this, their words only have power if you give it to them. No one can pour poison into your mind unless you open the lid. That's what Marcus Aurelius emphasized throughout his life, that we always have a choice, even when we don't control the situation. Here's the fix. Anytime something makes you want to blow up, pause and ask yourself, am I actually in control of this? If the answer is yes, then act. Fix it, adjust, do better. But if the answer is no, then you've got no reason to let it rob your peace. Let it pass like a wave breaking on rock. Don't fight it. Don't cling to it. Stand firm. Many men confuse control with controlling others. That's a dangerous illusion. They try to manipulate, convince, beg, threaten, anything to make people behave the way they want. They want their partner calm, their kids obedient, their employees mistake-free. But people are free, and you're not the center of the universe. You can influence, but you don't own anyone. Accepting that will feel like a weight lifted. Not because you've given up, but because you've chosen to focus where it matters, on yourself. A truly strong man isn't the one who controls everyone around him. He's the one who controls himself, even when everything's falling apart. He's the guy who can smile through an insult, who stands firm when he's misunderstood, who refuses to let emotion dictate his actions. He doesn't deny emotion, he watches it, then chooses the right response, with reason, not reflex. Remember this. Every time you lose your temper over something external, you're telling the world that you're too weak to keep your own center. So stop, take a deep breath. And remember, you can't stop the rain, but you can learn to walk through it without getting soaked. That's real strength. Modern men walk through life like the world owes them a smooth ride. They expect every day to be better than the last. Traffic should flow, coworkers should be respectful, payments should hit on time, their partner should always be happy and reasonable. Life should run like a damn commercial, smooth, predictable, without disruption. But when reality slaps them across the face, when the car breaks down at the worst moment, when the person they trust most stabs them in the back, when their boss cuts them loose without warning, they crumble. They weren't ready. They didn't prepare. Their mind wasn't trained to absorb the hit, so they snap, panic, grow bitter, and blame the world, fate, or society. That's why the ancient Stoics taught one core exercise, Premeditatio Malorum, visualizing the worst-case scenario. Sounds strange, maybe even negative. But here's the truth. If you don't prepare for the bad, you'll always be a victim of it. Weak men hope bad things won't happen. Strong men train their minds for when they do. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, sat down every morning and reminded himself, "Today I'll meet people who are deceitful, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and selfish." He didn't say this to feel sorry for himself. He said it to be ready. So when it happened, he wasn't surprised. And because he wasn't surprised, he didn't get angry. You get angry because you didn't see it coming. You get disappointed because you romanticized. You lose control because you cling to some fantasy version of the world. But the world doesn't run on your feelings. It runs on its own rules, messy, unpredictable, and sometimes cruel. Now imagine stepping into your day. Instead of thinking, everything will go fine, you tell yourself, today might suck, it might rain and I won't have an umbrella. I might get misunderstood. I might get betrayed. Some jackass might cut me off in traffic or insult me online for no reason. And then ask yourself, how will I respond when that happens? This isn't pessimism, it's a strategy. The strategy of preparation. The strategy of a soldier who doesn't go into battle hoping things work out, but trained and calculated. You're not inviting trouble, you're just refusing to be ambushed by it. Visualizing the worst also reveals this. Most of what you fear isn't nearly as catastrophic as your mind makes it out to be. You're afraid of losing your job? Play it out. What would you do? You'd survive. You're afraid of being dumped? Imagine she walks out tomorrow. Will it kill you? No. It'll hurt, but you'll move on. Vague fear makes you fragile. Facing the worst case head-on makes you stronger. And sometimes picturing the bad helps you value the good. Imagine losing the ability to walk, and you start appreciating your legs. Imagine losing someone you love, and you'll treat them with clarity. Imagine losing all your money, and you'll start saving, investing, and being smarter with it. You don't need disaster to grow up, but a grown man is always prepared for disaster. The trap modern men fall into is living under the assumption that everything will be fine. But what really matters is whether you can command your mind when things go to hell. The weak pray the storm doesn't come. The strong train to stand tall when it does, and when the sky's clear, they train some more. Not out of fear, but because they understand. Life doesn't come with a warranty. Premeditatio Malorum isn't a one-off exercise. It's a way of life. Every morning, take 5 minutes and ask yourself, what could go wrong today? How will I stop it from dragging me down? How will I respond if I lose, get insulted, or fail? And most importantly, am I ready to get back up? That's the difference between the average man and a stoic warrior. One lives on expectations and breaks when they're crushed. The other lives on preparation and stays standing even when life drops to its knees in front of him. Not everyone has the patience to watch until the end, but those who do are always the ones who go further than the rest. If you're one of them, subscribe and like. We're on the same team. Most men don't fail because they're not smart enough. They fail because they react too fast when they should slow the hell down. They blow up in 5 seconds and spend a lifetime apologizing. They react on instinct and pay for it with loss, damage, and regret that drags on for months. Instinct works in the wild when a lion is chasing you, but in modern life, it's a recipe for self-destruction. You see an offensive comment online, your fingers itch to fire back. A coworker blames you unfairly in a meeting. Your throat burns, your voice rises, your hands ready to slam the table. Your wife says something that cuts your ego, and in that moment you don't think, you just react. And most of the time, you're dead wrong. Instinctive reaction is what every animal has. No thought, just stimulus and action. But you're not an animal. You're a man with a rational mind. You can pause, you can observe your emotion before following it. The problem is, most people don't. They think pausing is weakness. They think staying silent means you're soft. They believe a quick comeback proves strength. They're wrong. Delaying your reaction isn't avoidance. It's control. It's the ability to hold the line, to not destroy everything over 5 seconds of rage. Men with real power don't lose their shit easily. They stay silent when it matters. They let the other person finish their tantrum, then respond with words sharp as a scalpel. Not loud, but lethal. They don't need to shout to be heard. Their control commands respect, not out of fear, but because they've earned it. If you lose control every time you're provoked, you're a puppet. People just need to push the right button and you'll dance exactly how they want. You think you're standing your ground, but really, you're just being played. Smart men don't hand out access to their emotions that easily. They create space between trigger and reaction. That space is the ground of inner freedom. It's where calm lives and where reason begins. So how do you build the habit of delaying the instinctive reaction? Start with the simplest move. Learn to slow down. When something triggers you, pause. Don't do anything, just stop. Count silently from 1 to 5. In those 5 seconds, let the emotion rise and pass, without chasing it. You'll realize it's not as powerful as you thought. Emotion, when not fed by action, dies on its own. Then ask yourself, do I really need to react right now? Does this reaction serve my long-term goals, or is it just about feeding a petty ego? Most anger wants you to win now, while making you pay later 10 times over. Delaying your reaction doesn't mean you always swallow your words or tolerate disrespect. It means you choose when to act. You don't fire just because someone poked you. You fire when you've got your target locked. That's the difference between a marksman and a hothead. A grown man can say, I'm pissed right now, but I won't react yet. I'll come back when I'm clear and say exactly what needs to be said. Real power is the ability to hold back what you can do, not just to do it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, true freedom is the power to keep your mind your own, even when others try to steal it. Instinctive reaction is a trap, one laid for you every single day, in every interaction, every word, every online comment, every petty confrontation. And every time you lose control, you're telling the world, I'm not reliable. You can be the kind of man people walk on eggshells around, never knowing when you'll blow up. Or you can be the kind of man people trust, because you don't react recklessly, you act precisely. On one side, emotional chaos. On the other, razor-sharp reason. Which side are you on? How do you react when someone insults you? A passive-aggressive jab in a meeting, a contemptuous look from an ex, a snide comment behind your back, or or maybe just a nasty little mind game thrown your way to see how you'll respond. Most men get pissed, lash out, try to set the record straight. But in that exact moment, they lose. Not in words, but in something deeper. They show how easily they can be controlled. They let emotion take the wheel and fall right into the trap. Stoicism teaches one simple idea. Every insult is a chance to train. It's not a threat, it's a test. No one can truly insult you without your permission. No matter how sharp the words are, they're just sound waves. Whether they become a dagger or disappear as background noise is entirely up to you. If you take them as an attack, you get angry. If you see them as meaningless noise, you keep walking. And if you're wise, you use them like a barbell to build inner strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When insulted, ask, is it true? If yes, why be angry? If no, why take it seriously?" Simple line, but if you live by it, words will never knock you down again. Someone calls you useless. Pause. Is it true? If yes, then they're just telling the truth. Thank them. If no, then they're wrong. So why get mad over something false? Why let someone who doesn't know your worth decide your value? An insult is like a stone thrown into a lake. If the water's still, the stone sinks. If the water's already agitated, it splashes chaos. Strength isn't about not getting hit, it's about not letting your waters get stirred. Inner calm is the highest expression of power. You don't need to reply, you don't need to fight back. Your calm response is the very thing that throws the other person off. A lot of people think ignoring an insult is weakness. Wrong. Ignoring it because you're afraid, that's cowardice. But ignoring it because you're above it, that's strength. Not every battle is worth fighting. Some fights are lost the moment you enter them. Every time you react to a comment, you're showing that you need it to validate something in you. A man with real confidence doesn't need constant proof. He just stands there, like a mountain. The wind blows, the dust swirls, the mountain stays. Remember, insults only matter when you give them meaning. People can call you anything they want, but you decide whether that name gets engraved in your mind. That's the ultimate power, the power to define yourself. And you must guard it with everything you've got. Because if you don't, you'll live like a leaf in the wind, blown whichever way the world decides. But here's the best part. It's not just about ignoring insults, it's about using them to evolve. Every insult is a free training session in calm, in awareness, in recognizing emotional traps. It's your chance to remind yourself, I'm here to lead, not to react. You can even quietly thank the person insulting you. They just gave you a free workout. No membership fee. Just show up and beat the weak part of yourself. How do you practice this? Easy. Every time someone insults you, big or small, pause. Pay attention to your body. What are you feeling? Heat rising? Heart pounding? Hands tightening? Good, that's your animal brain reacting. Now step back mentally. Ask yourself, do I really need to respond? Will this reaction serve my long-term goals? If I stay silent, what do I lose? If I react, what might I lose? The answer becomes clear if you're present enough. And when you choose not to react, you'll feel something unfamiliar. Freedom. You're not being controlled. You're not taking the bait. You've still got your hands on the wheel, and you just won. Not over the one who insulted you, but over the weaker version of yourself. There's a cruel irony in modern life. Men can talk for hours about football, the stock market, politics, or tech, but they can't spend 10 minutes talking to the most important person in their life, themselves. They know yesterday's Bitcoin price, but not the real reason they lost their temper this morning. They remember every play from Super Bowl 5 years ago, but can't even name the emptiness they felt at dinner. This lack of self-awareness isn't just dangerous. It's a sign of a fragmented, exhausted, and lost mind. That's why emotional journaling isn't some soft habit for sensitive guys. It's a discipline, an internal training tool for those who want to master themselves at the highest level. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of a world-dominating empire, journaled every day, not to brag, not to post content, but to face himself, to confront the unfinished parts of his own nature, to remind himself to live with reason and dignity. Because emotions that aren't acknowledged will control you from the shadows. They don't need your permission, just your neglect. A small, unchecked anger turns into bitterness. A nameless sadness becomes depression. A buried jealousy erupts and ruins a relationship. Journaling doesn't fix everything, but it drags your inner demons into the light where you can face them, instead of being ruled by them. Start simple. Every night before bed, grab a notebook. It doesn't need to look pretty, and answer 3 questions. What did I feel today? Why did I feel it? How could I have responded better? That's it. You don't need to write well. You're not writing for anyone else. You're writing to take out the mental trash, like sweeping your mental floor at the end of the day. You're collecting messy emotions, scattered thoughts, broken fragments of your experience. And in doing that, you declare, I'm here. I'm watching myself. I won't let this mind drift without direction. For example, say you snapped at an employee who showed up late. Instead of just writing, I was angry, dig deeper. I got angry because I felt disrespected. But he messaged me beforehand. Maybe I'm not mad at him, I'm just stressed about the deadline and needed someone to dump it on. That's the power of journaling. It forces truth. It demands accountability. And that, uncomfortable as it is what makes you grow. Without journaling, your emotions are just instincts. With it, you begin to reprogram your inner operating system. You start to separate fact from exaggeration. You recognize what feelings are truly yours and which ones were borrowed from someone else. Most importantly, you start to see the patterns in your behavior. Maybe you always get pissed when ignored. Maybe rejection hits you harder than it should. Maybe you keep tearing yourself down after every failure. Writing every day will expose those cracks, and once you see them, you can fix them. Journaling also builds one of Stoicism's most vital traits, objectivity. Emotions are subjective by nature, but writing creates distance. You're no longer the anger. You're the one observing it. No longer the pain. You're the one witnessing it. And that space is where reason steps in. You're no longer consumed. You now have a choice, and that is freedom. Here's another bonus. Over time, your journal becomes a mirror, an unfiltered record of your growth. You'll read old entries and wonder, why did I even care about that? You'll see how far you've come, not in status or money, but in your ability to stay centered when life tries to knock you down. If you don't write, you forget. If you don't face it, you repeat it. If you don't observe, you don't grow. That's why it doesn't matter how much you lift, how many books you read, or how much money you make. If you're not talking to yourself every day, you're still a boy trapped in a grown man's body. And a man who's never learned to control his emotions will always be controlled by them. You've heard enough. 5 strategies. Not new, but not easy. They're not for the weak who want results without discipline. They're not for the blame shifters who avoid the mirror. They're for the man who dares to look at himself and admit, I'm not in control yet. You can keep raging at a world that doesn't bend to your will. Keep acting on impulse when people don't treat you how you want. Keep writing your life story with emotional outbursts and half-baked excuses. That's the easy road, and the most crowded one, leading to a wasted life. Or you choose the other path, the harder one, slower, but real. You learn to separate what you can control. You visualize hardship so it doesn't scare you. You delay reaction so you can act like a master, not a puppet. You turn insult into a tool for discipline. And every night, you write, not to whine, but to forge your mind like steel. You can't control the world, but you can become the kind of man no one can manipulate. Stop looking for peace out there. Build it in here. Starting today, either you master your emotions or they will own you for the rest of your life. The choice is yours, and time waits for no one. Thank you for being here. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. Don't forget to leave a comment so we can spread positivity together.